Time now 5:38 this morning, checking in with Alex with that weather impact alert. You know, I know in the days leading up to a storm like we're potentially looking at this weekend, the models are kind of all over the place. Do you know when we might start getting a clear picture of what we can expect?
I would say over the next day or so, because tomorrow we'll have our shorter range models within view, those higher resolution models, and they really give us the best depiction of the actual timing of this event. But so far, we have issued this weather impact alert. A lot of details are going to come into better focus in between now and this potential winter weather event. So what we're on the lookout for is a potential wintry mix. This is not going to be snow like this past weekend's event. If we do see anything of the wintry mix variety, it's mainly looking to be freezing rain, and that could cause things like ice accumulation. So the timing right now later on Saturday, and then as we go all the way through Sunday and into the morning hours on Monday. So the potential impacts from possible ice accumulation could include hazardous road conditions, potential power outages, but there's still a good amount of uncertainty this far out. This is just something we want to go ahead and throw on your radar. I'm not sounding the alarms. I'm not telling you to go raid the grocery stores as of right now. There's still a lot that can and will change, but we do have a good idea about which areas have the most confidence in those potential impacts, and we'll talk about it in just a second. 23 degrees, the number in downtown Dublin this morning. Mighty chilly once again on your temperature map. The good news is this should be the last morning that we dip down into the 20s for at least a couple of days as we see an increase in cloud cover throughout today. But not so far. Everything you see on the satellite imagery right now is still that higher level cloud cover, those thin, wispy cirrus clouds that we did have in the forecast throughout yesterday morning. But the cloud cover does get denser starting around 3 p.m. later today, and then we start to welcome in on and off rain showers. So starting early tomorrow morning, probably before many of you wake up, you are going to continue to see on and off light showers, maybe some pockets of steady rain that will continue to be possible all throughout the day on Thursday, going into the nighttime hours and early on Friday morning, and continuing all the way into your Friday afternoon. Now, this is just rain showers. This is nothing of the frozen variety. We don't start talking about that until we do transition into the weekend. So here's the latest look at our long-range models. The GFS, the American model, still hinting at sometime Saturday afternoon, starting to see a wintry mix all over the northern half of the state. I'm not too sure I want to believe this because our high temperatures throughout the day on Saturday are still somewhere in the 40s. So I'm not sure it's going to be cold enough to kickstart anything in the way of a wintry mix as early as Saturday afternoon. But as we go into Saturday night and overnight into early Sunday morning, that would be the time frame that I'd be looking out for a potential wintry mix. But the GFS has anything that is falling in the way of rain, in the way of a wintry mix, moving out by around 10 a.m. on Monday. Now let's take it over to the European model, which now is hinting at more so just a very cold rain all across central Georgia. But this could still have implications as those numbers are going to drop below freezing both Saturday night and Sunday night. So anything that is still lingering at the surface is very likely to freeze over. But this would be a better case scenario. It wouldn't lead to as much ice accumulation that we're looking at. So far as of this morning, what we know is the European model trending a little bit farther to the north as opposed to the GFS, and we have higher confidence in the impacts farther to the north of us. So if you see a forecast for the Atlanta area, that is completely different than what we do have here in central Georgia. All in all, we still need to stay very diligent to this forecast, continue to stay up to date with the latest forecast as we continue to get closer, as this winter storm system could have potential drastic impacts to central Georgia.